Shalom Aleichem, everybody. It's Erev Shabbos, Parshat Acharei Mot-Kedoshim. And I just want to share with you a very, very short idea, beautiful idea that is found in the Kli Yakar. The Torah tells us in Perek Yud Ches, Pasuk Beis, Daber b'nei Yisrael v'amarta lehem ani Hashem Elokeichem, k'ma'aseh eretz Mitzrayim asher yeshavtem ba lo ta'asu, u'k'ma'aseh eretz Canaan asher ani mevi eschem shama lo ta'asu, Bechukoteihem lo Teileichu. So this is the injunction that we're not allowed to go ahead and follow the ways of the Gentiles. This is Nisr Doraisa, and the Shulchan Aruch, the Gemara talks about various permutations to go ahead and take on a minhag goyim that has some kind of background or some kind of history connection to Avodah Zarah is the prohibition. So, for example, celebrating Halloween, which has pagan origins, would be part of this Isser of Bechukoteihem lo Teileichu, perhaps integrating certain practices that they do in churches, in Gentile places of worship, into our places of worship, would be part of this issue. There's an interesting Taz in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch that talks about not wearing a yarmulke just to blend in to the goyim, just because one doesn't want to look any different. That might be part of the prohibition. In any event, you have a technical isser, Bechukoteihem lo Teileichu. But as an introduction to that technical isser, the Torah tells us that we shouldn't follow in the ways of Eretz Mitzrayim, Asher yeshavtem ba lo ta'asu, and in the ways of K'ma'aseh eretz Canaan, Asher ani mevi eschem shama lo ta'asu. And the Kli Yakar is bothered. There seem to be a number of extra words in the pasuk. After all, you could have just told me K'ma'aseh eretz Mitzrayim u'K'ma'aseh eretz Canaan lo ta'asu. Why this two separate isurim? Twice it says lo ta'asu. Moreover, we're told K'ma'aseh eretz Mitzrayim asher yeshavtem ba lo ta'asu. Why is that important? That you dwelled in Eretz Mitzrayim, asher yeshavtem ba. What's the meaning of that? Why do we need those extra three words? Moreover, K'ma'aseh eretz Canaan, asher ani mevi eschem shama lo ta'asu. Why those words? Asher ani mevi eschem shama. What is that all about? So again, the pshuto shel mikra is that during those times, the Canaanim were known as very, very immoral people. So too when it comes to Eretz Mitzrayim, perhaps the height of world power, but tremendous immorality. As Rashi brings, the theaters, the circuses, the things that were going on were highly, highly immoral. And the Torah wants to highlight that. You dwell there, you saw it, you know what to stay away from. But the Kli Yakar, B'derech Drush, has a very fascinating idea. He says when Klal Yisrael were taken out of Mitzrayim, so it was not so simple, is that many wanted to stay in Mitzrayim. They remembered as they were taken out, we remember the daga, the basa, we remember the great vegetables. It was a schlep to pull them out of Mitzrayim. They weren't necessarily as eager as they should have been to go. So K'ma'aseh eretz Mitzrayim, K'ma'aseh eretz Mitzrayim, the action of the people, Klal Yisrael, in Mitzrayim, that asher yeshavtem ba, they saw Mitzrayim as a makom yeshiva, as a place of dwelling. They became mitzuyonim sham. They were dwelling there as a permanent abode. They didn't approach Mitzrayim as a place of galus, as a place that was not ideal, was very, very b'diavad. Asher yeshavtem ba, their approach, Klal Yisrael's approach to Mitzrayim was b'toras yeshiva, that they were there on a more permanent basis. They weren't yearning to be taken out of Mitzrayim. That is what we have to stay away from. And K'ma'aseh eretz Canaan asher ani mevi eschem shama. The same idea that I, Hashem, had to schlep you out. I had to bring you to Canaan. It wasn't an inner yearning that you had, but asher ani mevi eschem shama, you were Yeshiva in Mitzrayim, and I had to schlep you out to bring you to Eretz Canaan, says the Kli Yakar. Very fundamental concept and model of our approach to Golus. We live in Golus, and this is our lot, is that for the time being we are in a state of Golus. Even those of us who are living in Eretz Yisrael, we're in a state of Golus, but we have to understand and always be cognizant of the fact that Golus is an onesh, and the fact that we live in a Western Golus, and a Golus that is very, very hospitable, that we have the ability to worship freely, to go ahead and serve Hashem openly. There's a freedom of religion, there's a First Amendment. It's so meaningful, but it's so unusual. And that was not the historic type of Golus. The historic type of Golus for north of 2,000 years was a Golus of tremendous Chil Hashem. The Chil Hashem of the Goyim, persecuting our people. And Ein Chil Hashem Gdola Mizu, the fact that we were persecuted, and as we say in Hallel, Lama Yomru Hagoyim, why do you let the Goyim say, Ainu Elokeichem, that where is your God, letting all this happen? And now that we have the ability, we have Eretz Yisrael under our control, Jewish sovereignty in Israel is so profound, so meaningful. The opportunity to understand that life in Golus is not ideal, and we have the opportunity to take steps to bring about the Geula, to perhaps redeem ourselves, to make steps towards Eretz Yisrael, not to see our station in Golus as permanent, as in the posture of Yeshiva, that Chas v'Shalom we have to wait for Hashem Asher Ani Mevi Eschem Shama, but have that sense of Tzipisa Yeshua, whether on a personal level, if we have the ability to make our moves to Eretz Yisrael, or on a national level, to have that yearning, that desire that the current state of affairs is b'diavad at best. And as that fourth question will be asked when we get to Gan Eden after 120 years, Tzipisa Yeshua, we have that true sense of yearning for that final Geula b'mheira b'yameinu.